Hey guys, so it's Rebecca here and I'm doing a little bit different video today. So I'm here in my barn. We're kind of going to go off schedule from our usual programming. And I want to talk today about silent aggression and especially silent aggression in women. And oh my gosh, it's so prevalent in the horse world. So I came across this video by Anna Runkle, who is the crappy childhood fairy. I think that's her handle. And she had this great video where she went over this list of how this manifests in people. And like when I read this list, it so hit home. I was like, oh my God, I think I've experienced every one of these in the horse world. For me, the horse world, I hate to throw around this term because it's like so common now, but it's very toxic. I feel like a lot of people work out their traumas and their ego issues with horses, and it is like they're drawn to the horse world specifically. And as a horsewoman who has also struggled in the same way, I am, kind of parting the clouds and coming through the fog and starting to realize all of this. And part of this has just been these things that I've experienced in the horse world that have really affected me. And this list like hits them all on the head. Like they have been silent aggression from other women. So let's go through this list, because what I want you guys to do is I want you to put in the comments, I want you to list, you can tell a story or you can just list which one of the aggressions, share as much or as little as you want, no pressure there. But I really would like this to be sort of the video for people to open up and say, hey, yeah, I've had that happen to me and it's really sucked. Because I think it's way more common than we're giving like credence to. I think that a lot of people have experienced this in one way or another, in one shape, form or another. And I think we really have to bring it to the forefront and start talking about it because it's really bad. So let's go through this list. The first one she talked about, I have my little list here so I can read. The first one is reputation seeding. And this is when someone will say something about you, like they're not going to just outright lie about you and say something that you could disprove, but they're going to put a doubt in the other person's mind about you. And I have seen people do this and I've had it done to me where they're not going to say something like, oh, Rebecca was dishonest and blah, 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 blah. But they'll say something that just puts doubt in the other person's mind. And I can actually think of someone right off the top of my head who does this about everybody. So she won't necessarily say something that you can go to the other person and disprove, but she will say something like I've directly heard her say this about her ex-trainer and the person that runs the barn at her ex-trainer's barn, and was like, well, given those two personalities, they won't get along in the long run, and I hate to see the sparks fly when that falls apart. Like just kind of giving you the idea that the other person's reputation is a little seedy, right? So that's number one. And I've had that happen to me. I've had people sort of like imply something completely untrue, but not so like obtuse that you could prove it wrong, right? Or that you could be like, that never happened. It's very covert. That's silent aggression, is very covert. Okay, number two, selective memory. So this a lot of times happens that they just don't remember your contribution to something, whether you did a really good job doing something, or you donated money to something, or donated a product, or whatever. They just have selective memory where when it comes time to giving you credit for something, like you don't get it, or they like love the idea that you had, so then they take it and run with it without ever giving you credit. So the selective memory. Number three is these non-verbal jabs. I actually have a sister that does these, where it's the roll of the eyes or the sigh, or the talking like kind of like like not really wanting to talk to you, instead of being honest and telling you maybe something that you did that bothered them, or maybe something that you did that upset them, or or just even not having interaction with you, but giving you interaction, but always giving you these nonverbal jabs, these gestures that that they can deny if they're ever questioned, but yet you feel it, right? You feel very uncomfortable around them. Number 4, and we all have a tendency to do this one if we're trying. Sometimes I do this if I'm trying to relate to the other person, but number 4 is turning conversations back to yourself, or the other person turning conversations back to them. Now, I'm not talking about when someone says, yeah, my horse, like bucked me off the other day, and you say, oh yeah, I had that happen last week. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the situation where, like, maybe you come into the barn and you've had a bad day. Maybe your boss, gave you bad news, or you had a project that didn't go well at work or something like that. And you come in and you're like, man, I've had a bad day. And they have to steal that from you. Oh, well, I had a worse day. You won't believe. So you never get to express what you want to express. They're always one-upping you, and they're always turning that conversation back to them. If you had a successful day or successful show, they kind of belittle that, and they turn the conversation back to them and their success. I see it more in that regard than I do in, like, not honoring and listening to your own your own thing that you need to get off your chest that that happened bad to you. I see it more in them trying to, like, not acknowledge the successes that the other person has had. All right, number 5 is selective storytelling. So that's when they kind of bend the story to make it fit in their narrative, and whether that narrative be because they are wanting to look like the better person, or they're wanting to kind of throw somebody else under the bus, but they kind of leave out parts of the story. And so it's selective. It's not really telling the true thing. It's kind of like leaving out. It's kind of like where I said not that selective memory and not giving credit. But this is, they're telling a story and you're like, wait a minute, I was there. And, I know exactly what happened. And, Lucy, fictitious person, totally came to the rescue, but somehow she's not in the story. Like, that's weird, right? So that's number 5. So number 6 is very similar to this, but it's the strategic exclusion. And this a lot of times will be like, you hear the barn, a bunch of people in the barn are getting together, but they just don't invite you. Or everybody at the show is going out to dinner after the show, but somehow you don't get invited. Like, maybe you're down in your stall working with your horse and they just all leave and nobody says anything to you. And the thing is with this is, like, I get it. You don't want to come up to that person and say, I don't like you. I don't want you to come to dinner. But it becomes really toxic when you're kind of including someone, but yet excluding them, right? So as emotionally mature people, if we have a problem with someone, we need to talk to them about it. We need to address it. We need to listen and talk, right? We need to have this dialogue back and forth together. And if we really choose that we don't want to participate, say that other person is really negative, say they're always talking about other people, or, say that they're working out their traumas by taking it out on other people, and they're very negative and toxic and putting other people down, and you just decide you don't want them in your inner circle, then you have to not have them in your inner circle. And you can't just kind of include them in your inner circle and then exclude them, because that's not fair. Okay, that is being just as emotionally immature as they are being. So this strategic exclusion a lot of times happens because they want to be like the mean girls in high school, and they just don't want that person to be in their little niche or their little clique, right? And the horse world is so cliquey. Oh my God, it's so cliquey. It is like high school in so many regards, and it's really, really immature. Okay, number 7, which is a little bit like this, and that is like number 6, is the invisible freeze out. So that's really like trying to make somebody feel like an outsider. And for me, a perfect example is because I'm always going to new barns. Um, I walk into a new barn and no one, like they don't know me. I'm totally walking into a new barn. This is for my business, which is not training horses. But I walk into a new barn and I get the freeze out. Like nobody gives me eye contact. Nobody says, "Hi, how are you?" or "Hi, can I help you?" They just like look at me and then just look away, like the complete freeze out. It's so weird and it's so rude. And I experience it a lot, not so much once people know me, but just that general lack of just manners and congeniality and just being friendly with people regardless. I live on the East Coast. I live in Maryland. So like from Maryland north is kind of notorious for this attitude. I think when you get farther south, it's much nicer. Midwest is much nicer. I don't know about California. I don't have a lot of experience out there in the horse world. But anyhow, please share your experience if you know a little bit more about that. All right, number 8 is the vanishing act when you win or you succeed. So I have experienced this, that people are super friendly. I was at a show once and I went by myself. I wasn't with any of my friends or any of my colleagues or my trainer or anything. So when I stabled, I was next to this pretty bigwig trainer. And she was super friendly to me. She was like really nice. She was including me in her conversations because she was chatting with her people that were all around me until I did really well in my class. And she saw my horse and we had a really nice score. And then all of a sudden, she was cold as ice to me from then on out. Like, I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. All I did was go out and ride my horse. Like, that's it. And so it was really weird to me that I'm like, I'm not a threat to you. I honestly am not a good enough rider to be a threat to this rider at all. Like, not at all. And it was just crazy. Like the flip. It was like this little switch was flipped and I got the freeze out. Another way that this manifests, I think, in the horse world is if you are having a bad day, if you're having a great day, people will be like, "Oh, your horse is so good." Like they totally deny that it's a partnership and the two of you are in it together, right? It's your horse was really good. Your horse won the class. Oh, you have such a nice horse. However, if you bomb and you suck and let's say your horse like spooks going down X and like runs sideways and jumps out of the arena and you're eliminated, that's all your fault, right? It couldn't be the flapping flags that are, above the judges stand or anything like that. And that to me is sort of like the typical vanishing when you win, only wanting to point out the negative. That all kind of goes in that same category. Okay, number 9 is silencing your role in an outcome. So this is a little bit similar to selective memory and selective storytelling, but silencing your role in an outcome is like, say you took somebody else's horse and you rode it and you trained it and you helped it become much better than what it was, but somehow your role in that horse, maybe getting to the next level or maybe being able to jump higher or get more confidence out of the arena or anything, is totally downplayed. There's no it's silence, crickets you hear in the background. It's because you had nothing to do with the outcome, right? And that is so like silently aggressive. For me, I'll share a story. I had a friend that I paid to lease her horse while she was laid up on injury. And I did really well with the horse. He was a lot of fun for me. He gave me a lot of experience. We did a lot of things together in the 3 months, I think, that I leased him. And I was kind of, all of these silent aggressions kind of came out. And it was a really great experience for me. And I was super excited about it. And I wasn't going around bragging how well we were doing or anything. I was learning so much that I was so in depth with like learning from this horse and like enjoying the fact that we really clicked together and that I was getting to do all these fun things with him. And of course, I got the silence. I was kind of dismissed, and the horse had been out of shape when I started riding it, and I got to pass it back to the owner, doing the best it had done in years, in super amount of shape, and everything was silenced. So that's silent aggression. So that's the 9 that I wrote down, but I'm sure that there's more. Um, I would love to hear your guys' stories about how this has happened to you because, like I said in the beginning, I think this is way more prevalent. If it's happened this much to me in my time in the horse world, and I'm not even deep in it, I have my own small little barn here, and it's like this 60-year-old barn that I put stalls in, and it's nothing fancy. And like, I kind of stay a little bit out of the mix and the drama of the boarding and showing every weekend and all that. So you guys who are out there and like really in the thick of it probably have a ton of stories, and I'd love to hear them. And I also think it's really good for everybody to share their stories so that you don't feel like you're singled out, because it's really easy with these silent aggressions to take them personally, to feel like you're not good enough, to feel like you're struggling. And let's be honest, we're all struggling. We're all struggling to become better riders. We're all struggling to become better horse caretakers. And honestly, the journey of life is struggling to be a better person. Um, a little caveat. So I am Dr. Rebecca Douglas. I am a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine, certified in functional nutrition, and have done a lot of training and certifications in trauma responses. And I have done a lot of that work personally because of my own upbringing and the things that have happened to me in life. And, really wanting to step into leadership roles and have that emotional maturity and be able to come, to the plate, having knowing myself really well and knowing why sometimes I do things or say things or I respond to things in the way that I do, and to really work on growing as a person in that regard and in that aspect. And so for me, hearing other people's stories, we've some of us judge ourselves really harshly, but some of us judge other people really harshly, and we forget that, hey, they're going through the same stuff that we're going through. It might be different. It might not be their children, it might be their parents that are sick, or it might not be that they lost their job, but that they lost their house or whatever, right? Or it might not be that anything to do with that. It might be that their horse is struggling, or they just lost a horse, or they just had to sell a horse they didn't want to sell, or any of the multitude of things that we all go through in daily life. And I think that if we can share our experiences, we can realize that, yes, we all are struggling. We're all on this path to be better riders, better caretakers, better humans, and that we all want to be the end of this microaggressions and these silent aggressions that harm other people around us. We really want to grow in our self-awareness, and we all want, and that we want to deal with our traumas and deal with our issues and come to the world as a better person. And I think the more that we can gather together and we can do that together and we can talk about those things and we can share those things and we can share what's maybe helped us move through something, I think all the better for the entire community. Because I think when Anna Runkle brought this stuff up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that the horse world needs to hear, because we need to end this. We should be, it's great to see all those posts where people rally around, behind one another. Oh, we should support, our fellow girls as they're riding, right? And then the next thing you know, they're turning around and stabbing you in the back, right? We've all experienced. I've had my own coach steal information from me and publish it, right? So we have all been stabbed in the back probably a multitude of times. And it's like really helpful to hear other people's stories. It's really good to bring awareness to this so that we can change the culture in the horse world in the United States. Maybe it's better in other countries, but sometimes here it's really toxic, and we need to change that. All right, so I will be back. The next ones, we'll get back to our riding stuff, but I really wanted to share this. This was really a big deal. It was really on my heart. This is the direction that my more professional life is going. So I don't know if you guys are interested in this, I can share more. But this was really important to me this week. All right, see you guys next time.